Hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Decryption and I hope you are well. So I've been really getting into space games lately. I don't know where it started. I saw a game, what we're seeing now, called Star Trucker. It's basically Euro Truck Simulator in space. It's so chill when you put the music on, and I was just playing it and looking around, and the game has a bit of a flaw that it's not got VR in it, because it's absolutely perfect for VR, but that's fine. But they recently put out an update a few months ago where they said you can now use joysticks and stuff like that. I was like, I've never used a joystick before. So I was looking online at how to get into it and stuff, figuring out what it was, what's a good first joystick to buy. And I ended up finding the Logitech X56 HOTUS device. What's a HOTUS device, I thought? HOTUS, hands-on throttle and stick. Basically, you have your throttle with all your little buttons and your joystick. And I was like, that could be pretty cool, but am I just going to buy it and get bored of it? So I started looking at what other games I had that could support it. And that's where the downfall started, because every single game I've played recently have all been space games where you fly a ship and you use your joystick to do manoeuvring and thrusting. And it is incredibly fun. So much fun, in fact, that I even started finding other games that I could use, such as Star Wars Squadrons, which unfortunately the game's a bit dead now, but single player and training is still a lot of fun. And you can roll around, you can do cool stuff like this, fly around, and I've even been playing Elite Dangerous, and I'm even going to missile this guy right there. Bye bye, guy. Boom. But then it got me thinking, what else could I do with a joystick apart from play games? And I started thinking, could I use it in Unreal? So let's get started. So the answer is yes, you can actually code it in Unreal, but it takes a plugin to do it, or some C++, or something called raw input. But there's another way you can do it. So I'm actually in Unreal 4.27 at the moment, just because they've got this spaceship template here, and it's perfect for this kind of thing. And you basically play the game, you use up and down, the controls are not great, I will admit, but we can fix it. You can see we can basically fly around. We've got a super basic turning spaceship thing, right? But it gives us the model, it gives us the landscape, and the very basic controls. So I'm going to take this and upgrade it to Unreal 5, because then we can do everything we need, and it's up to date. So it's super simple to actually upgrade. I'm just going to come and open up Unreal 5, so I'm going to open up 5.6.1, because that's the one I'm going to use. And just to make it easier to stop any massive upgrade issues, I'm actually just going to come and create an empty project, essentially a blank one. And I'll call this joystick test. It doesn't need to be C++, but you can make it if you want to. I'm going to make it C++ just to make it a bit easier later on for myself, but you don't need to. So I've got this brand new Unreal 5 project, right? It's put a landscape in it, but the project is essentially completely empty, which is exactly what we want. So the easiest way to really do it, because this is a super basic one, is I'm actually going to come to my content drawer here, right click and choose show in file manager, and I'm going to basically take everything I need, all of it essentially, because there's no C++. I'm going to open up my joystick test one for the Unreal 5, go into content and paste. It'll ask to merge some folders, but it's essentially empty anyway. And there we go. So we can cross this one off, we're done now. And we can come back to Unreal 5. So it won't work directly. There are going to have to be some modifications we have to do. But you can basically come in and you have the flying map. There you go. It's all the map. The ship is broken, so we just need to come and open that up. And it's using this old node to check if you've got a virtual headset on, which, well, we don't, so we can just turn that off. Hit compile. And you see your ship spawned in. You click play. And for the most part, it won't work because it's using the old input system. So we need to go through and just upgrade it manually with this stuff here, look. And it's super simple to do because it's Unreal 5. So we're going to come and create a brand new input action, and we'll call this IA_thrust. Open this one up. And because we're wanting to use this as an axis, so you can see in here, it's got an axis value of 0 to 1, so you can push forwards, pull back. We're actually going to come and set this to a axis 1D, so it's a 0 to 1 float. Then we're going to come and duplicate this one, and we'll call this IA roll, and then we'll duplicate it again, IA pitch, and IA yaw. You can also add in IA brake if you want to, but for the most part, that's everything you need. Let's then add a new input again, of a type of input mapping context this time, IAC main input, and we'll just open it up. And we can now go through and add all the main keyboard and mouse ones. We'll get to the joystick in a moment. So if you do get mixed up on what your pitch and roll are, easiest example is come and click your ship. And if you hover over these, it will tell you which area they are. So if you roll this like so that's your, turning your joystick sideways or using Q and E probably. So I'm going to come and set those. I'm going to set roll to be Q, and I'm going to also add E. And then on E, we'll add a modifier of negate. And then I'll come back across and I'll select pitch. So pitch is the up and down one, so I'll probably use W and S for that. And again, on the S, we can just come and copy the negate and add it onto there. And that would finally leave your, which will be A and D. And then we'll add the modifier on like so, right? And now it's a case of just coming into this script and replacing everything. So the thrust will become IA thrust. And we connect the triggered up to the normal one, the exec pin, and the axis value, just hold control and drag it back down to there. And that is your thrust taken care of. You'll move up, which is your pitch. So we can add IA pitch. And it doesn't matter if you make a mistake, we can always fix it afterwards. So we'll connect that to there, move the triggered across, delete that. And finally, we've got move right, which is your yaw speed. Don't forget that the yaw has an extra one over here into this ABS. We'll drag that down and we'll drag the triggered as well. Delete that. We can hit compile and save. Last thing we need to do is find the player controller. So we don't have a custom one, so let's just tap the plus to add a custom one. For now, I'll just call it BP player controller ship, and I'll open it up. And then inside here on event begin play, let's get the enhanced import local player subsystem. Let's just double check it's valid. And then we can, from here, add mapping context where we can add our IA main input. Make sure that this player controller is set in your game mode and click play. And now you should be able to successfully move the ship. Oh, I'm spinning everywhere for some reason. So we are going to have to counteract it, but you can see I'm moving slowly. It just needs a lot more work because it's tilting everywhere based on the logic that we've got. So we have a basic functional ship, but how do we get the HOTUS to work? So this is where we're going to introduce the new plugin I found called the Joystick plugin by Jaden Malouf. Apologies for butchering your name, but this is a fantastic plugin. It makes it so seamless. You don't have to go into dealing with raw inputs, figuring out what controls you have. It does everything. Exactly how it says. It adds joystick, and the cool thing, wheel support as well. I've not tried that yet. I did get my joysticks driving a car in Unreal though, which was very cool. It uses something called the SDL library, which seems to be what Unreal uses to detect inputs. And this plugin basically gives you access to everything, and you have a lot of functionality with it. So simply come and download the latest version, and it downloads just like a plugin. So once you've downloaded it, just come into your project folder, right click, new folder, add a folder called plugins, and paste it in. And you'll open it up, you'll see it'll just look like a normal plugin, nothing different. You've got a U plugin, which describes everything it does, which is perfect. Oh, apparently it is on Fab as well. I didn't know that. But cool, okay, it's on Fab as well. I've got it from GitHub. So you've got it there. Now all you need to do is restart Unreal. And I can come in and I can open up my joystick test program. And you see it opens up. And we've already discovered devices, look. I'm going to reopen everything I had open before. And I'm going to move to my new flying map. And just a heads up, if you're going to keep working in this, go to Edit, Project Settings, Maps and Modes, and just set it to your flying world map like so. That means just when you reload Unreal, it works. But now you have access to the new tools built into it, which is very cool. So if we go to Edit and then Project Settings, if you scroll down, you'll now have access to a new joystick input here. And this is where you can come and figure out all the connected devices. So you can see it's seen two, look. It's got my throttle and it's got my stick shift, my flight stick, which is very cool. We can come in and we can use a bunch of stuff if we want to. But the cool thing is we have this tool called the joystick viewer. So if we open this up, and I'll bring it down here for us to see, it's got a layout for every single device on your throttle. So if I grab my throttle here, and you can see, if I just press a button, you can see that's the button there, button 3, we can see it. And we can press button 4, I can push my thruster forwards, and I can push it backwards. So you can see that's in the center. Push it backwards, it goes positive. Push it forwards, it goes red, essentially. Some games will treat that as 0 and then push it forwards will be as 1. That's what I have it set in most games like Elite as well. Because getting center so you can stop is really difficult. But you've got all sorts. You can see I've got my spinny wheels, I've got my other spinny wheels, I've got my every single button and switch works for you to change however you want to. It's really cool. You can even come up to the top and change your device, and now I'm on my joystick look. And the cool thing is, you know how PC gamers say controllers are decent, you can't get as good of an accuracy with a controller as you can with a keyboard and mouse. For space games, you cannot get as good of accuracy with a controller or a mouse as you can with a joystick, because I can simultaneously operate 3 axes in 3D to drive my ship by twisting, pushing forwards, rotating, tilting at the same time, and pressing buttons and thrusting forwards all at the same time. It's very, very cool. And yeah, I've got all my buttons here, which is really cool. You can click on them to configure what it does if you want to, and you can change what it does, override it, do whatever you want. But the coolest thing about this plugin is if you come back to your main input and come to here and say, for my thrust, I'm just going to click here and I'm going to push it forwards, and it automatically detects it, which is really cool. I'll press it again and pull back to make it go to the opposite way. I can come to the pitch and I can add it in. So pitch was up and down, so I'll just push it forwards, and then I can press add again, and then we'll pull it backwards. And we've got 2 different axes for this now. So again, just like we did, I can get the modifiers and add it on like so. The roll I can add twice, and I can say I can go left, and then I can go right. Add the modifier in again. And the tilting here, I may have done this backwards, but we can double check in game. I can tilt my joystick one way, and then come here and tilt it the other way. And I can add the negative modifier to it. And essentially that's it. That's how cool it is. So now, my ship's going forwards. If I press forward on the thruster, it will start going forwards. If I pull back, it speeds up or slows down. I can use my joystick, and it takes some getting used to. We've definitely got to configure with the controls. So tilting is backwards. So let's go in and change that. So instead of having the modifiers here, we'll move it to the other one, the other axis. You could easily make that a setting in-game as well. So now, there we go, I can tilt properly. I can move my joystick side to side to make it move, and it doesn't really work. So this is where we're going to have to play around with it. But you can see, I am essentially moving it with the joystick. So I'm going to keep this here so you can see me actually using it. I'm not cheating it. So you can see, as I move the joystick, the ship successfully moves up and down. How cool is that? You can see I'm twisting it at the moment. Moving side to side is doing nothing, so we do need to code that in. At the moment, the thruster isn't working though, at least how I didn't expect it to. So if we switch to the throttle and push it forwards, you can see it doesn't seem to be doing much. So we need to debug that and see what's wrong. But there are code changes we can make to the ship just to make it that much better. And there is quite a few we can do to make it really nice. So we have the yaw here, and the roll speed. The yaw and the roll being calculated here. So if we just move this down, and I'm basically going to essentially take all of this one here, and instead of basing it off the yaw, I'm going to move it down and connect it to its own unique one instead. And then we basically need to come and take out the connections to yaw speed up here, because we don't really want it. So we've got acceleration and turn speed, right? I'm going to add a new roll speed, and I'm going to delete off the bits down here. So we essentially have an almost clean state look. It looks exactly like the above, but we're just calculating roll speed. And we can drag the roll speed into it. So we've got current roll speed and roll speed. Current roll speed is how fast we are currently turning. Roll speed is how much it should increment it. So I'm going to get the action value, and I'm going to multiply it by our roll speed. And I'm going to connect this into the target like so. Make sure you've got the get world data settings and the current roll speed. And if we hit compile and save and try it this time, you'll see as I move the joystick along, we will successfully roll the ship. How cool is that? Now, you absolutely are probably going to want to play with the settings, because for me, that's very lightweight. If you wanted to roll, you don't want to wait for it. So I'm going to come in, move this out of the way for a moment, and I'll just bump it up to like 100. And then I'm also going to flip the inputs because I don't like the way it is. So we'll take the negative and move it onto the modifier there. And just for goodness, I'll do it on the Q&E as well, because it's probably going to be the same. If I play it this time, you'll see, there we go. Much more responsive. I can turn, that's all working. I can move up and down. There we go. I can now essentially fly the ship around here, rotating and taking these corners. Come down here and then go just like that. That would be difficult to do with keyboard and mouse. Not impossible, but it's still pretty cool because I can roll upside down and I can fly upside down as well because it's a space game. And I'm all doing it with the joystick. So now let's fix the thruster because for some reason that's not working. So I'm going to come back to our IAC main input and I'm going to duplicate this one here. So I'll make sure I push that forwards to go forwards, make this one come backwards so it's an axis, and then I'll just add the negative modifier onto this one and let's see what happens this time. So if I press forwards, we seem to slow down. If I pull backwards, we seem to speed up. So let's reverse the negativity around because it's what we have to do. And just for ease sake, so we can actually tell if it is actually working, apparently we've got something null. It keeps erroring saying I haven't filled an input in somewhere. But I think it's lying to me because they're all filled in. And just to make it easier, if we jump back to the flying pawn and on tick at the top, this is where it takes all of those specific values we've given it and it moves it around, rotates it and such, right? But if we just drag off of here at the end and do print text, we can drag backwards off of this and do format. And I will type in here, speed, colon, curly brace, speed, curly brace. And it gives us a variable like that. We can now add in the current forward speed to get our acceleration and drop this down and just give it a key, speed. And that means it'll always remain on screen, but it'll only ever update once. So you can see as we play it, we can see speed at the top. If I push the thruster forwards, we increase speed, but then it seems to bottom out at 0. So it seems to be really liking going backwards. So let's move the modifier onto the other one again, because I think it wasn't set properly here. Try it this time. 500, if I push forwards, it speeds up. If I pull backwards, it slows down. There we go, which is really cool. But it's limiting to 500, so obviously we don't want that one because we want to move really fast. So if we look at the code for thrusting, you can see it's got a clamp with the min speed. So I'll say the min speed is 0. The max speed is 4,000. Yeah, let's keep that one. But I'm going to bump the acceleration up because it's not quick enough for me. So we'll do 1,500. I'm flying a TIE fighter here. I want it to go fast. So now we'll start off at 500. If I push forwards, if I pull backwards, we'll slow down to nothing. Perfect. If I push forwards, we'll slowly start to gain speed. And then it will go zooming. And I can fly around. And I can pull back on my thruster to start slowing down. How cool is that? It is looking really cool now. I'm officially flying around with the spaceship. And that's pretty much the length of it. If you want to add something new in, so say if we want to add a shooting action, let's duplicate one of these. IA shoot. We'll open it up. A shoot's really a digital aspect, so we'll set this back to digital bool, so it's either true or false. Back to our input context. Let's add a new one. I hate how Unreal unfolds it all. On here, we'll do shoot. I'll set the first one to be my mouse, and I'll set the second one to be my joystick trigger. Quick. There we go. And then back on our flying pawn, we can come in and add our IA shoot. And then, well, I realistically don't have any laser effects or anything for us, so we're going to do the cool thing and just print out. There we go. Because I don't have any effects prepared. But you can see now, when I press the trigger, there we go. So we can push forwards and we will super speed up. I can fly my spaceship around. How cool is this? It is insanely cool. I can pull back on the drifter and we slow down. And then we can take off again. There is a slight discrepancy when you're pushing the thruster forwards that it hits 0 in the middle. So it tries to technically cancel it out. So you can see on here, at the moment, my thruster's all the way back, which should be no speed. But it's actually pushing straight up, which is why we negated it. But if you push forwards, it'll eventually hit 0 and then stop again. And you can come in and you can tweak the settings here and actually change how it works. This is why the plugin's so cool. It's really powerful. For those of you who are wondering why have I got 2 going up and down, the joystick I've got's got 2 thrusters attached together for some reason. I don't know why. But yes, that is the joystick plugin and how to get HOTUS working in Unreal, which is really, really cool. So I did some more work, and then I've even put the vehicles one back in as well. So if we come and open up, say, the off-road vehicle and click play, you can see we've got the car, but if I use my joystick, you can see the tyres are moving. If I press forwards, you can see we start zooming, I can turn it, and we start going. How cool is that? Yes, you would typically play a racing game in a car with a joystick, but it is still pretty fun to do. But yeah, that is definitely going to change how I start working on games. Because one of the biggest things about this is a lot of people complain that when you have a space game and you don't allow basic joystick use when it's this easy, what's the point? It's not great. So yeah, it's super easy to do. We can now add it in really easily, and there you go. Really cool. There is one caveat I am going to mention, because I've not found a way around it yet. If you do, please let me know below, because it'd be awesome. But I'm going to keep looking at it, and I might put another video out if I find it. But basically, these are hard-coded to your specific controller. So where you come into here, and you can search specific things, such as the D-pad up, and that works across any gamepad, Switch, Vive, PS4, Xbox, that's generic. This joystick plugin at the moment, until I find a better way around it, seems to be hard-coded to my specific joystick. So if I sent you this project and you had a different joystick, this wouldn't work for you. You'd have to go in and set the settings up yourself. Which is why I think most games come with a custom control screen where you can set your inputs in the game. But yes, the joystick plugin is really cool. It's so much easier than doing the raw input where you have to configure everything. This does it all for you. It's really nice, and there's loads of other stuff you can do with it. So there we go. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this was helpful. If you've got any other things you'd like to see, please let me know. And hopefully, I will see you captains in space as well. See you next time.